to another video. If you're new here, my name is Remy and I share lots of vegan recipes and tips to help you live well. And today we're going to be doing, as you can probably tell by the title of the video, a what I eat in a week video. Everything that I'm going to be showing you will be vegan, gluten-free, and also kind of along the cozy fall winter lines because it is definitely starting to get a little chilly here in New York. So hopefully I'll be able to share some really good vegan meal inspiration with you guys. Now, before we jump into the food, I have to throw out some disclaimers because I feel like that's really important whenever you do a what I eat in a day style of video. I always just want you guys to know that every single day looks different, and I'm by no means sharing this meal inspiration as a meal plan for anyone else, which is why I also don't go into calories or portion size. Personally, I'm not one to count or measure anything that I eat. And so even if you were to ask me, I wouldn't have an answer. The primary purpose of this video is really just to share with you a bunch of different vegan meal recipe ideas. If any of the meals that I'm eating in the video are recipes of mine, I will link them in the description box below. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video and let's get right into it. So at the start of every new week, I always have the most inspiration to create fun new recipes, and the perk is that of course I get to eat everything that I create. So this was one of those huge successes, banana matcha spinach pancakes, and I came up with this idea because I wanted to add a little bit more green to matcha pancakes. So I thought spinach would not only be a nice little veggie boost, but also give some natural green to the pancakes. And as you can see, once I blended everything up, it became the most gorgeous green color, all natural of course. Once the batter was ready, I heated up a pan and I got ready to flip. I used about a quarter cup of batter per each pancake, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but I feel like the first one is always a flop. This one actually turned out not too bad. I think I could definitely improve my aim a little bit, but surprisingly, it was really not a bad pancake at all. So no sacrificial pancake on this day, and I got a little bit more courage to make them bigger as well. I served them with a dollop of coconut yogurt, and then I also sprinkled some more matcha powder on top. This was purely just for photos. I also added a handful of raspberries, and I dug in. These were really, really delicious, and they do have a slight bitterness from the matcha powder, but I like that it cut through the sweetness because sometimes in the morning, I don't want something that's too sweet, you know? Then as a little mid-morning snack, I had a Korean pear or an Asian pear, and this is my favorite time of year when it comes to fruit because the most amazing fruit is in season, and I look forward to Korean pears every year. I actually had plans to go to this Korean pear farm in New Jersey to pick them with my friend Tim this year, but because of everything that's going on, there was no picking, unfortunately. But anyway, I still enjoy this delicious pear from H Mart, and it was super crunchy, crisp, and juicy. If you've never had one before, it's got the texture of jicama or a crunchy apple, but has a mild pear flavor and is a lot more hydrating than your average pear. Highly recommend trying it. For lunch, I wanted to use up this Japanese pumpkin that I got at the market, and I was kind of experimenting with a miso, sesame, tamari, sesame seedy, shichimi togarashi kind of seasoning. It was really, really random. I basically just threw all of those ingredients into a bowl and coated with my hands, popped it in the oven and baked. I mean, it worked out all right. I don't know if this is really enough to be a recipe on the blog, but it was pretty delicious. Then I quickly sauteed some tofu and threw it in a bowl with some quinoa, avocado, and some garnishes, and it was pretty delicious. I remember that this was a really busy day for me, and I ended up just kind of lacking inspiration to make anything exciting for dinner until I remembered that I had to film for this what I eat in a week video. So I grabbed some okra out of the fridge that I'd gotten at the farmer's market, gave it a quick steam, and decided to throw just a bunch of random things in the fridge into kind of like not necessarily a nourish bowl, but I guess it really was just a bowl of vegetables. I used up some of that leftover pumpkin from earlier in the day, had tofu, romaine lettuce, okra, and I used some vegan furikake, which is like a Japanese seasoning mix with seaweed. Yeah, it was pretty random, but it hit the spot and it did the job, and I finished off with some popcorn. On Tuesday, I started to work on some recipes that I wanted to put up on the blog, so they were a little bit pumpkin inspired. This one was a pumpkin cheesecake chia pudding parfait. Wow, that's a mouthful. And I even went so far as to pipe on the cheesecake topping because I want it to look really nice. I added some pumpkin spice granola, which is also a recipe from the blog, and I threw on some edible flower petals to finish it off. For lunch, I really wanted to try this daring chicken. I've been hearing a lot about it, and the sample's kind of just been sitting in the freezer, so I finally put it to use and stir-fried it with some onions that I attempted to caramelize, a little bit of kind of a very lazy teriyaki style seasoning and garlic powder. Then I quickly warmed a quinoa tortilla, this is from Trader Joe's, and called it a meal with some spinach and of course the chicken on top. I wasn't super hungry this day because I had been trying so many things throughout the day that I was working on recipe-wise, so this was actually the perfect amount for me, along with a little drizzle of this chipotle cashew sauce that I was working on as well. So quick lunch, super easy, and pretty good. Dinner time was one of my go-tos. This is, you guys probably know this by now, my favorite lazy pasta dish. Just a bunch of random veggies, whatever I have on hand, olive oil, spices, and some Banza chickpea pasta. On Wednesday, I was so excited that I had leftovers in the fridge because it makes my mornings a lot easier, so I ate another jar of that pumpkin cheesecake chia pudding parfait, and it was actually even better the next day because the moussey topping had some time to set. For a midday snack, I had this persimmon, the best of fall fruit, I'm telling you. And then for lunch, I wanted to make some kind of kale salad because I had this beautiful bunch of kale. So I've been experimenting with a truffle dressing of some kind. I'm still kind of tweaking it a little bit, but this is sort of where I got, at least at the time of filming this video. So I tossed in some raw Brussels sprouts because I actually really enjoy them raw when they're massaged with a nice dressing. You could also roast them as well, but I kind of just wanted to be a little bit lazy, so I really relied on the dressing for this dish and gave it all a really, really good massage. I also added some roasted delicata squash, some chickpeas for protein, and also some pumpkin seeds, and that is the dish. For dinner, I headed downtown with a friend to Outdoor Dine, and this is kind of what outdoor dining looks like in New York City. Not the most glamorous, but I love that I'm able to go to some of my favorite vegan restaurants again and support them. This corn, by the way, everything. I'm obsessed with it. I adore it. And then when I got home, I was a little bit munchy, so I baked up some peanut butter cookies. I had one of those and slightly burnt them, but it was still good. On Thursday, it was kind of a rainy day and I was really craving some oatmeal, so I decided to put some of the apples that I had picked to good use, and I kind of stewed these up in a frying pan with a little bit of cinnamon. I always like to add a little bit of water just to kind of get things going and just cook down until they're a little bit softer. I also just like them warm because I think it goes a little bit better with the oatmeal when you're serving. So I put it into a shallow dish. This is actually a new purchase that I definitely did not need, but you guys probably know that I have a problem with ceramic shopping. Anyways, threw on some chopped pecans and this sweet potato maple butter. Obsessed with it. Oh, and I finished off with some cold soy milk because I feel like it makes it the perfect eating temperature. I've been meaning to make this recipe from my friend Lisa, or the Viet Vegan here on YouTube, for a really long time, and I had a bunch of veggies left over in the fridge, so I was like, okay, this is the day I'm gonna try it. Basically, they're kind of like veggie fritters or veggie pancakes, and I subbed out a couple of the ingredients based on what I had, but it's pretty simple. I used a gluten-free flour and some sparkling water as she suggested, threw it into a pan, and this is where things went south a little bit, but they were still delicious. I also fried up some tofu on the side. This is a way that my dad likes to eat tofu. It's kind of just a quick pan sear on both sides and then dipping into this very Korean sauce that is made up of 3 very simple ingredients: sesame oil, salt, and pepper. You'll often get this at a Korean barbecue place. They serve it with pretty much everything, and it's really delicious. It's one of my go-to sauces, and that was my lunch. I love these veggie fritters. I'll leave the recipe in the description box below. I didn't finish everything, so I just left the tofu on the side for later, and I had some snow monkey ice cream. You can tell I really love this stuff because I completely forgot to film it. And then for dinner, I had some pumpkin lentil soup. I showed you guys this recipe in my last What I Eat in a Day video, and it's just my favorite because it's so cozy and comforting. I finished the day by eating a little bit more salad and also finishing up that leftover tofu. On Friday, the weather was a little bit warmer than usual, or maybe I had just worked out. I don't really remember, but for some reason I had a smoothie bowl and I made one of my classic recipes on the blog. It's called the Everyday Green Smoothie. It's just my go-to when I kind of just want a smoothie that checks all the boxes. As you can see here, I spent a good chunk of time blending everything. Kale does take a little bit more effort to blend down, but eventually with patience, you can get there and still achieve a super thick smoothie bowl texture. I added on these really cute kiwi berries, some toasted coconut, and some buckwheat groats, and that was my breakfast. It really made me miss summer. You guys know I love smoothies. Lunch was a really quick mishmash of some leftover beans, mushrooms sauteed with my favorite seasonings, and then I guess it was kind of like a warm salad bowl because I ate it with a bed of mixed greens and some avocado as well. And then I also wanted to use up some of that leftover truffle dressing that I was experimenting with. It gets firm in the fridge, it's kind of weird, so you have to massage it into the greens. But yeah, work in progress. As a little snack, I wanted to have this cinnamon roll. It's vegan and gluten-free, and oh my gosh, you guys, it was divine, but it was definitely dense and super filling. Not complaining, but I remember being super full, so I didn't really have an appetite for a huge dinner, and I wanted to just honor how I was feeling and listen to my hunger cues. So late that night, like around 9 or 10, I ended up having a couple of pieces of zucchini ravioli, and this is one of my favorite recipes from the blog, but that was basically it for the day. Alrighty, well that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up so I know to make more videos like this in the future. And leave a comment below letting me know which of the meals throughout the week looked the most delicious to you. I always love to hear what you guys are into because it helps me come up with recipes that I share on the blog and gives me a little bit of inspiration in the kitchen as well. As always, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in another video soon, and until then, take really good care of yourself, nourish yourself, and most importantly, eat what feels good and feels right for you. Bye!